my channel. My name is Breezy. This is my second video as part of my decluttering series. Today we're going to be tackling my shoe organization. If you're not familiar with my channel, I do a lot of decluttering videos, organization, as well as DIY projects. What we are tackling today is shoes, whether it's having racks, rails, over-the-door hangers, bins in your closet. In the shoe boxes along the floor, there's not really a good universal way to store shoes. I've gone through many iterations of this and I finally caved and went ahead and bought plastic containers at the Container Store for your shoes that have the front flap open so they're clear and you can see through them and you can just pull out your shoes. This is going to be a partial review video as well if you're interested, if you're considering buying them, because they are an investment piece. I think they're between $8 and $12 per container. So if you have a decent amount of shoes, that can really add up really fast. So if you're in the market for some high-end shoe organization, this is a great video for you as kind of a review, and you can kind of get a look at what works, what doesn't. And then the other thing we're going to be tackling in this video are my husband's shoes. I wear a women's 8.5, sometimes an 8, sometimes a 9, but usually an 8.5. And I went ahead and bought the men's Container Store shoe bins, thinking that, oh, well, if I buy the men's ones, then they can be uniform and me and my husband can have the same ones. And so that's why I initially bought them. As well as for some of the higher boots or heels, they fit a little bit better depending on the size of shoe you wear. So I went ahead and bought the men's ones, which are, of course, more expensive because they're larger. My husband wears a size 14 triple wide. He has massive feet, and I swear to you, these bins, the men's ones, are like a half an inch too small for most of his shoes, so they don't fit. So I have been really frustrated by it because I really want a uniform system for both of us, especially because our amount of space is very limited. So what we've been doing is basically keeping all of his shoes in random shoe boxes on top of mine. And it's not very attractive to the eye, but it's also not the most secure system. So living in California, I am always hyper aware of earthquake safety. And so having these random shoe boxes placed on top of each other that aren't the same size, aren't the same weight, like it's just like an accident waiting to happen. So I've been really wanting to try and figure out a system that would be better. I finally found something that I think will work. I'm going to be showing you the pluses and minuses of the Container Store bins, as well as the new Sterilite bins I bought for my husband. So with that, we're going to flip you guys around and you're going to see the current shoe bin system. So here we are at the shoe tower, as I like to call it. And I apologize, this to the left has a few of my remaining books and a few little stuffed animals here, and it kind of blocks the view a little bit, so I apologize for that. This is the current situation that we have going on. These are the Container Store men's shoe containers. Basically how they work is they are a hard plastic, and then the front has basically a little latch that you pull down, and it's a drop down, and then you just grab your shoes out. I told you in the intro that I finally caved and bought these, and the reason why is I really don't like open shoe storage, meaning like a shelf or a rack or something like that, because I tend to find that, especially with like suede shoes, which I'm particularly fond of, they tend to collect a lot of dirt and lint and dust, and then I have to lint roll them before I wear them, and it's just an extra step I need to do that doesn't make me want to wear those shoes. That's why I didn't like really open shoe storage. Additionally, having them in shoe boxes, you don't really get to see them. So in this way, I immediately look and I can see all of my shoes and it's crystal clear. Some of the like kind of dupes of these I've seen, the front really aren't that sheer. They're more cloudy, kind of like the sides of these bins. And so you can kind of see the shoes, but not really. I really like these. I used to have these instead of in rows of 3, I had 2 columns basically all the way to the ceiling. And they did perfectly fine. We actually did have a pretty good earthquake one day that shook pretty hard. They didn't fall over. I do recommend though, is if you do buy these, if you're putting them right next to each other, they start to kind of make a V shape. Like, so at the base, they'll be perfectly next to each other. The further up they get, the farther they split apart. So by the time if you're stacking them to the ceiling, by the time you're up there, there's probably at least a foot of lip or gap in between the 2 rows. So what I did to counteract that is I actually put like clear packing tape or masking tape on top, and that pulls them back together, and I haven't had any problems since. Like if I go and I, shake this, like it's perfectly fine. What I will say is these aren't the best on top of carpet. And why I say that is because there isn't really, there's like a 1/4 inch of space between the bottom and where the front panel starts. And so if you have high grain carpet, it goes right up to that. And what happens then is when you pull it open, the levers break off because there's too much force and pressure. So I have broken probably at least 5 of these that way. Like this one is broken. Now, does it still work? Yes, but it is quite a bit harder to get it open. I would recommend, if you have carpet, to maybe get like a wooden panel or something like that and put it on top of that. While it may not be as aesthetically pleasing, it will help prevent that problem from happening. So, I mean, I have all different types of shoes in here. I have high heels, loafers, Oxfords, sandals, booties, all kinds of stuff, sneakers, and even like Doc Martens and some other boots. Pretty much all of them fit standing up. As long as your heel is probably like 4 inches or less, it should fit standing upright. If your shoe is taller than that, it's probably going to have to lay on its side. Up on top, I have some of my shoes, but mostly are my husband's in these boxes. And there's like a pair of work boots hidden under here and a pair of sneakers hidden back there. I ended up buying some Sterilite boxes from Target, and I'm hoping that we can kind of fix the situation. So I'm going to put this on the tripod and we're going to give it a shot and see how it goes. All right, so I ended up buying these Target brand Room Essentials 2 storage boxes. So it's 2 for $5. These are 16 quart containers and they have a gray lid. Other Sterilite option that's the clear with the clear lid at Target are, I believe, $2.99. So this works out to be a little bit cheaper, so that's nice. When I was reading the reviews for the clear top, a lot of people had commented that the tops don't sit securely, so I didn't even want to play that game. So we're going to go ahead and give these a shot, see if they fit the shoes. They are somewhat cloudy. They aren't perfectly clear, but they're pretty darn good. So we're just going to give it a shot. There's one bin. So I'm going to come grab a pair of shoes. I'm going to try the hardest one first, which in my opinion is probably the boots, because they're tall, they're clunky. These are like SWAT boots. So let me see. I know they're not going to fit standing up, obviously. Well, okay, I am extremely impressed that they fit the length of these. This is a little high. I'm gonna zip these, kind of squish them and see if we can still fit the top on. I mean, it snaps. It's not perfect. It does lip a little bit, but the fact that we could fit those in a bin, I'm super excited about that. So we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing with the other bins and see how it looks. As you're doing organization, I highly recommend to start with the hardest thing first. In this case, like with the shoes, well, great if they fit all of the pairs except the boots, but then I still have this one odd pair of shoes that doesn't fit. And so you really want to try and find a storage system that works for everything. Otherwise, you're always going to have that like, oh, that one bin doesn't match. I highly recommend that you try and find a universal solution, and sometimes that takes time. Like, I've had these sitting on top of here since July, and I haven't been able to find anything that was quite right. One of the other things I highly recommend with organization is that you check that it fits the space you're working in before you go ahead and take everything apart and, you know, get them all organized and nice, and then they don't fit the space that you intended them to fit in. If you can, always try and measure ahead of time, but in this case, because I bought 3 2-packs, meaning 6 boxes, I'm going to check the 2 I've already opened before I go ahead and open all of them and find out, oh, these aren't going to work. So let's go ahead and do that first. So I'm going to put you guys over here. Hopefully you'll be able to see okay. Fit lovely on top of the shape and size of the current clear container store boxes. The issue is I don't have enough space on this side because these do angle a little bit. I put this one down here. I have this wall by the closet to consider, and it's just like a hair shy. So what that means is I'm probably, unfortunately, move all of these over, meaning all of my container store bins over, which is quite the process. Alternatively, I can flip-flop and put this one on this side, and Paul's shoes then can stack in these two rows, which I think is probably going to be the quote easier option. So I'll probably go ahead and do that. But so far I'm very satisfied with this. In case you're interested, because the container store bins are flush with the wall and these do have a little bit of a lip to them, they are sticking out maybe, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch. So they do stick out a little bit, but like they're not going anywhere if we have an earthquake, so that's good. And I can actually see what's in them, which is really nice. And I think Paul's my husband, he'll be really excited with being able to see his shoes. I think it looks really nice. In terms of quality, these do make a snapping noise when you close them, so that's nice. As I was picking them up, because the lip is right where the little like grip is, I can see that you might knock open the lid from time to time. So if you were getting in and out of these all the time, I'm not sure if I would recommend these, but because he usually is like a Birkenstock wearing kind of guy, and these are more his occasional shoes, I'm less worried about it. If it was something like for your everyday shoes, I'm not sure I would recommend it, depending on how you're storing them. If you're storing them like up and over your head, I would say absolutely not, because you will probably injure yourself. If you're storing them on the ground, then I think it's probably fine. We're gonna keep going with this. I'm super duper happy, and I'll show you guys the results when we're done. Okay, so still trying to figure out camera angles. I apologize, my tripod is technically broken as well, so it makes it a little challenging. So I just opened the second container here. Hopefully they work as well as the last ones. I'm assuming they will because, like I said, we've already done the hardest pair of shoes. So to give you an idea, so they fit lengthwise literally perfectly, but I can actually have them both sitting down, which tells you how wide these boxes are, because usually I have to have them on their ends, but in this case I don't. So these are wide bins. I bought them based off the measurements of this box plus the measurements of Container Store bins. And another hack, like if you ever need to know the make or style or size or whatever of the shoe because you anticipate having to buy it again in the future or maybe sell it and maybe the tag has worn off or something, you can always either take a picture, or the other option is you can always cut this part out, like loosely place it in the front or the back depending on what you prefer aesthetically, but then that way you always have the information. So yeah, so good to find these. These ones technically do fit this way, and they're actually nice and snug, so maybe I will leave them that way. They're not scraping the sides, but they're definitely snugly placed against the sides. Awesome, those fit as well. Here's a great example of like annoying shoebox, and these are his dress shoes from our wedding. So they're more like tuxedo shoes, so they're patent leather, so it's like you want to keep them nice but you don't want to keep them in this ugly box. I'm surprised I could actually fit both of them going the same way, so that's awesome. They aren't scraping the sides. And really I want to find the fit that is snug so they're not shaking around but isn't like making the sides lip, because then the top won't fit right, and also you have the higher potential of ruining your shoes or damaging them. He does also have a pair of flip-flops, so I'm going to put those in here. You know, and that gives him a little bit of room to grow. He can always take the flip-flops out if he ends up buying another pair of shoes. But now they're all in a consistently sized container and they all fit, which is awesome. I'm over the moon that they fit all his shoes. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna move that one Container Store bin at the end to the other side, and then I'll put these up there and we'll see how it looks and go from there. So I'm super excited, so let's do that. So while I'm doing this, I hope you guys can still hear me. I have a pretty booming voice. I wanted to check in with you guys and see how you're doing. Times are really hard right now and really confusing, and it's hard to stay positive and motivated when there's so much uncertainty in life right now. But I feel like if you even give yourself 15 minutes a day to just get ready or improve one little area of your house, you'll feel so much better. The days I do that, I feel like I get so much done and I'm so happy about it. With that, I hope this gives you guys a little bit of inspiration to go tackle some project that you've been putting off, let's say. Okay, so now that I have flip-flopped, this is where the Container Store one is here on the far side now. Here's what I can tell you. So the boot bin is lipping a little bit because the boots are a little bit tall for the bin, which we kind of already knew. That's not a big surprise. What is happening is that, again, because these are more of a kind of a slanted shape as opposed to a straight up and down shape, they don't perfectly fit in the same square footage as the Container Store bins. So the one on the end is hanging off a little bit. So again, if you were stacking these super duper high, I don't know if I would recommend it. He's not getting into these all the time. This isn't a forever solution, so at least not in this configuration. You know, eventually, hopefully we'll have our own, you know, whether it's a walk-in closet or multiple closets to work with, and so then he can have his shoes in one place and I can have my shoes in one place. This won't be forever, but I want to make sure it's safe so that when I go in to get shoes, or if someone's over here or a cat jumps on it or whatever, it's not going to tumble and fall. You know, comment down below what you guys have used for shoe storage in the past, or what you currently use, or what you aspire to have. Like I said, I know the Container Store bins are not accessible for everybody. They are quite expensive and they are an investment piece. So I'm not saying run out and spend $300 and get those bins right now. But what I am saying is, if this kind of thing interests you, maybe try the Sterilite ones first, because dimensionally they are very similar. In fact, they're a little bit larger. So especially if you're a man with big feet, they'll fit your shoes. And it still gives you a similar effect where it's clear so you can see in them. And you can see if you like that without, you know, that's a quarter of the price depending on what size containers you're getting from the Container Store. So I feel like it's still good quality and you still get a similar effect, but you're not spending like an obscene amount of money. All right, so we have the shoe tower as it was, except we've moved the one singular one over to the far right-hand side. Originally it was over here on the left. It still has the same containers on top. So now these are the Sterilite, the Room Essential Sterilite bins with the gray tops that come in packs of 2. So it was 3 packs that I bought. This cost a whopping $15 to do, and I have now eliminated all of those ugly shoe boxes. Now I'm not stacking shoes on top of shoes on top of shoes, and we can clearly see what all of them are. So when I compare, like, let's look at, you know, these two right here. So when I look at these two, clearly the bottom one is clearer than the Sterilite. The Sterilite, again, has that more kind of foggy appearance to it. You know, the Container Store ones do have that nice flush box square shape or rectangular shape, whereas the ones above obviously do have that little bit of a slant. In terms of maximizing space, the Container Store ones are technically better, but in terms of like actual square inches or feet that they take up, it's almost identical. So the lip here hangs over just a hair, so it kind of goes just a hair over. In terms of height, I think they're exactly the same. And length, you know, like I said, they're the like quarter inch. But at the end of the day, these are awesome. I'm super excited about them. This worked out perfectly for Paul's shoes. So I'm super excited, and I'm really excited to show him, see what he thinks, and I'll leave a note down below and let you guys know what he thought. And then at the bottom here, I have a few shoes that I need to figure out what I'm doing with. So I'm probably going to end up decluttering some of these shoes and or doing kind of combined boxes like we see here and here, which, you know, isn't, you know, the best, but it's sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So anyways, I hope this has been interesting and helpful, and if you guys have any shoe storage suggestions or questions, please shoot them over to me. Like I said, I have tried many different storage solutions over the years, but this has by far been one of my favorites. Thank you again so much for watching. This is our second video in the decluttering / organization series. So again, the goal of this video was to try and get a system that worked for all of Paul's 14 16/13 triple wide shoes, and we found a winner. It looks so much better behind me in this video, so I'm so happy about that. I will also leave a link down below to both the Container Store bins that I am recommending, which are the men's size. Those are the ones that I have, and then also these specific Target brand Room Essential Sterilite bins. And so hopefully that helps you guys out as you're working on your organization of shoes. Thank you again for watching this video. Please like if you like all these decluttering videos. Please subscribe if you're interested in seeing some more content. Again, we have more upcoming organization, decluttering, and DIY projects, so stay tuned for more. Again, I appreciate you guys so much and sending you well wishes in this time of uncertainty. So take care and look forward to seeing you next time.